we are going to continue with the wild robot. This is part 5. Let's see, remember Roz was on the island and she was looking for a safe place to be, and she thought being underneath the pine trees would be safe, but then she was getting hit with all these pine cones. So she looked at there's a tall mountain, so she climbed on the mountain and she thought she'd be safe there. But then a storm blew in and all this rain, so she was looking for a place to get out of the rain, and she got washed away in a mud flow. And she managed to save herself from that by grabbing hold of a tree. And then after that, she saw a cave. So she thought, oh, the cave will be a good place. But the cave was occupied by bears, and the bears chased her. And only way she got away from them was to climb a tree. And she climbed the tree and she thought she'd be safe there. She was in no hurry to leave. And then a robin started squawking near her and caused her to move further away from the tree trunk along the branch. And then the branch broke and she fell to the ground. And she was just about ready to give up that, a wild island was no place for a robot. And then she noticed a little bug, a little walking stick, that it was camouflaged. So then Roz decided, well, that might be the safest way to be. So she camouflaged herself, and she became a camouflaged robot. And she camouflaged herself with all sorts of things and at all sorts of places in the island, and she observed how the animals survived. So chapter 19, the observations. Clouds scuttered through the sky, spiders spun intricate webs. Berries beckoned to hungry mouths. Fox stalked hares. Means they hunted them. Mushrooms rose up from leaf litter. Turtles plopped into ponds. Moss spread across tree roots. Vultures hunched over carcasses. Ocean waves beat against the coastline. Tadpoles became frogs. Caterpillars became butterflies. A camouflaged robot observed it all. Chapter 20, the language of animals. It started with the birds. They had always been skittish when the robot was near. They would stare and screech and then scatter. But now that Roz was camouflaged, she could secretly observe their normal behavior right up close. Roz noticed chickadees fluttering through the same flowers and singing the same songs every morning. She noticed a lark who swooped down to the same rock and sang the same song every afternoon. She noticed the same 2 magpies singing to each other from across the same meadow every evening. After weeks of robotically studying the birds, Roz knew what each bird would sing and when they would sing, and eventually why they would sing. The robot was beginning to understand the birds. But she was also beginning to understand the porcupines and the salamanders and the beetles. She discovered that all the different animals shared one common language. They just spoke the language in different ways. You might say each species spoke with its own unique accent. When Roz first listened to the chickadees, their songs had sounded like tweedle, tweet, tweedle, tweet, tweedle. But now when the chickadees sang, Roz heard, oh, what a lovely day it is. Oh, what a lovely day it is. And there's a little chickadee. Deer spoke mostly with their bodies. By simply turning her head, a doe could say to her family, let's look for clover by the stream. Snakes often hissed to themselves, things like, I know there's a tasty mouse around here somewhere. Bees said very little. They used their wings to buzz a few simple words like nectar and sun and hive. Frogs spent much of their time searching for each other. They would croak, where are you? I can't see you. And then another would reply, I'm over here. Follow my voice. When Roz first stomped across the island, the animal squawks and growls and chirps had sounded like nothing more than meaningless noises. But she no longer heard animal noises. She heard animal words. Chapter 21, the introduction. There was an hour each morning in the dim light of dawn when all the island animals were safe. You see, long ago they had agreed not to hunt or harm one another during that hour. They called it the dawn truce. Most mornings the island residents would gather in the great meadow and spend the hour chatting with friends. Of course, not everyone attended these gatherings. The bears had never made an appearance, and the vultures just circled high above. But on this particular morning, an unusually large group of animals had come out to discuss some important news. "Settle down, everyone. I have something to say." Snooper, the owl, hooted to the crowd from the lowest branches of a dead tree. "Last night, I saw a mysterious creature right here in the great meadow. It seemed to be covered in grass, so I couldn't get a good look at it, but I think it may have been the monster." Looks of concern swept over the crowd. "What was the creature doing?" said Dart the weasel. "It was speaking," said Swooper. "It was repeating the same words over and over again, but each time it sounded a little different. At first it sounded like a cricket, and then it sounded like a raccoon, and then it sounded like an owl." "What was it saying?" said Dig Down, the groundhog. "I could be mistaken," said Swooper, "but I think it was saying, 'Hello, my name is Roz.'" The crowd began to chatter. "Just where was this creature?" said Fink the fox. Everyone turned as the owl slowly pointed his wings to a grassy lump in the meadow. It was a rather ordinary-looking grassy lump until it began to move. As you probably guessed, that grassy lump was Roz. She had been there the whole time, camouflaged, listening, watching. And with all the animals looking at her, she decided to introduce herself. The crowd stared in disbelief as the grassy lump started shaking and bungling upward and crumbling apart, and there was the robot. Then, using her body and voice, the robot spoke to the animals in their own language. "Hello, my name is Roz." The crowd gasped. Swooper fluttered up from his branch and screeched, "It's the monster!" "I'm not a monster," says Roz. "I am a robot." A flock of sparrows suddenly took off. "Leave us alone," squeaked Dart as he crouched low in the grass. "Return to wherever horrible place you've come from." "I come from here," said Roz. "I have spent my whole life on this island." "Why haven't you spoken to us sooner?" screeched the owl from higher up in a tree. "I did not know the animal language until now," said the robot. Crown Point, the buck, had heard enough, and he slipped into the forest with his family. "So what do you want from us?" growled Fink. I have observed the different animals have different ways of surviving," said the robot. "I would like each of you to teach me your survival techniques." "I'm not going to help you," screeched the owl from the very top of the tree. "You seem so unnatural." "The monster is just waiting to gobble us up," shrieked Dig Down. And the groundhog disappeared into a hole. "I will not gobble anyone up," said Roz. "I have no need for food." "You don't need food?" Fink relaxed a bit. "Well, I need food, and lots of it. Why don't you make yourself useful and find me some food?" "What would you like me to do?" said Roz. "Can you hunt?" The fox smiled at the hare on the far side of the gathering. "It's almost time for breakfast." "I cannot hunt, but I can gather berries." The fox's smile disappeared. "Berries? I'm hungry for meat, not berries." "Good luck to you, Roz. You're gonna need it," and the fox trotted away. Roz looked up at the tree, but the owl had gone, and when the robot looked down again, she realized that everyone else had gone too. Oh, there she is, all alone in the meadow. Chapter 22, The New World. A new world was spreading across the land. A new word was spreading across the land. The word was Roz. Everyone was talking about the robot, and they wanted nothing to do with her. I don't think I'll ever feel comfortable knowing that Roz is on the prowl. I hope Roz camouflages herself as a rock forever. Shh, there's Roz now. Let's get out of here. Roz wandered the island covered in dirt and green growing things, and everywhere she went she heard unfriendly words. The words would have made most creatures quite sad, but as you know, robots don't have emotions, and in these moments, that was probably for the best. Chapter 23, The Wounded Fox. My face, my beautiful face, somebody help! Fink the fox was lying on a log howling in pain, with a face full of long, sharp quills. When Roz appeared, "Isn't there anybody else who can help?" "Would you like me to leave?" said the robot. "No, please don't go. I'll take what I can get." "What happened?" "I don't think that porcupine could see me in the bushes, but when I went for his throat, suddenly there were quills in my face." "Why did you go for his throat?" "Why do you think? Because I was hungry." "If you had not attacked the porcupine, you would not have quills in your face." "Yes, Roz, I know that. But a fox has got to eat. I just didn't expect him to put up such a fight. Look, there are even quills in my paws. I can't walk. My face is numb. I could die if you don't help me." "What would you like me to do?" said the robot. "I'd like you to pull out the quills." Roz calmly knelt beside Fink and said, "I will pull out the quills." The robot started to tug on a quill, but it snapped off in her fingers. Fink yelped and said, "Pinch it closer to the skin." So Roz pinched the broken quill closer to the skin, and then, very slowly, she pulled it out. The fox winced in pain and said through his teeth, "Please, Roz, pull them out faster. This is agony." Roz quickly tugged out another quill, and then another and another. The fox lay perfectly still, eyes closed tightly, wind whistling through his nose, until every single quill had been removed and placed in a neat pile beside him. Fink struggled to his feet. "Thank Roz. I owe you one." The fox smiled briefly, and then he limped away. I think we're going to leave it there for right now, and we will take up again. Bye.